Hi, I'm Jane. Welcome to the very first episode of Hot Stuff, the show where I try to make stuff out of glass. And I found this beautiful hand-painted candle. So I'm going to try and make a glass candlestick to go with it. I've never made a glass candlestick before, so I'm really excited to learn how to do it. But before I start designing, I want to take a closer look at these details to get some inspiration. And on closer inspection of the flowers, these buds and the leaves, they really remind me of lilies. So I'm going to try to make a blue lily themed candlestick. For all this botanical detail, I'm going to need quite a lot of space, so I'm going to go for a tall design. This way I can add lots of flowers and leaves and still lean into that elegant aesthetic. So I'm starting my design with a rough sketch to get my ideas down onto paper. And there are a couple of key specifics that I want to bear in mind. For example, I want my candlestick to be at least a foot tall, which means it will need to have good balance so that it's not too top heavy and that it doesn't fall over. So it will need to have a wide foot and a heavy base. The body of the candlestick will also need to support the detail that goes on top of it. I'm planning to create these branches that kind of swirl around the body to add the flowers and the leaves. And the final design may not exactly come out like this, but it's a really great blueprint to work from. Now that I've got my design sorted, it's time to pick out my glass colours for this project, and I'm hoping that I can colour match this candle quite nicely. Now this is a solid and hollow skills project, so I'm going to need some glass tubing, and I've got this beautiful kind of emerald green colour. These tubes are the perfect size and thickness for this project, and they match perfectly with the hand-painted design. I'm also going to try and incorporate some frit into this project, and frit is basically glass in powdered form. And I've recently learned that frit is one of the best ways to gradually build up soft layers of colour, which I think will be great for my petals. So I'm going to try this deep sea blue, a cobalt blue, and this periwinkle colour as well. Hopefully this will give me a lovely gradient just like on the candlestick. I'm going to use white as the base colour for my petals. I have opaque, semi-opaque, and I'm going to use this clear as well to add a little bit of transparency if I need it. Now the candlestick itself does have a bit of this ivory quality to it, as you can see here. So unfortunately I don't actually have a opaque ivory. The closest colour I have is this wood glue colour, and I don't think that's it. Lastly, I just need some greens for my branches and my leaves. So I'm starting maybe with this kind of olivey colour. I'm also going to try this kind of lime green colour, which is semi-opaque. And I'm also going to try maybe this pea green. Which I think will look quite nice. And I've also maybe got this deeper green here, just for a little bit more depth. And just checking against the candle, I think this works really nicely, particularly this dark green colour. So that's our glass collection all sorted. I think we're all ready to go. So hopefully by the end of this, we will have a beautiful handcrafted glass candlestick. It's probably going to take me a few days to actually get all the elements ready and assemble it all. But it's so going to be worth it, and it's going to be a really great challenge, and it's going to be really fun. So it's day one of making my glass candlestick, and for today I'm working on the candle body. I'm using my twin flame to heat up a large section of the glass and slowly blowing air into it and stretching it out and pulling it to get that nice shape. I do this in very small increments so that I have the most control and get a nice even wall thickness. This was my first attempt and it came out great, and it matched up very nicely with the top section where the candle is actually going to go into. Next, I need to make the foot. The foot is going to need to be quite large. I think this is a good size. I'm not very good at feet, but I'm going to try my best. The foot is going to be a very integral part of this piece. It needs to hold up the entire weight of the candlestick. If the foot is too small, it will very easily topple over and break, which I definitely don't want to happen. So I'm making a large foot and applying lots of heat to get that really nice wide open flare. This way it should have great balance and great support. Lastly, as I spin the foot out, I need to make sure it's nice and centered. That way the candlestick can sit up perfectly straight and hopefully not wobble to one side. Now that the foot is complete, I can finally attach my obolio, which is the connecting parts of the candlestick that connect the head, the body and the foot all together. Now that those are fused all nicely together, I can put the finished foot, body and head of the candlestick into the annealer overnight. This is now day 2 of making my glass candlestick, and today I'm focusing on making petals. For my candlestick design, I think I'm going to need about 6 flowers, so that's 36 petals in total, plus the stamen for each individual flower. For a more organic appearance, I would also like to have various sizes of flowers. So for each flower, I have to try to make the petals all roughly about the same size. And I've made quite a few petals, but this process really does just take a long time. And I want the detail to be the same on every single one, so I'm just taking my time as I do it. After a full day of petal making, I'm on to day 3, which I'm focusing on branches and assembly. Now that I've made my petals, I know how big the flower's going to be, so now I can start on making the leaves to go with them. I'm starting with this deep green as my base colour, but to add a little bit more translucency, I'm layering up this green powdered glass and with a layer of clear. Opaque colours are very beautiful by themselves, but they can look a little plasticky, so to make it look more realistic, I'm adding these layers. Now to make my leaf shape, I give it a nice even heat and then I give it a squish with my mashers to create this flat disc. Now to make them look like a lily leaf, I'm going to need to apply some texture. So using this image as a reference, I'm creating these lines that go vertically through the leaf, which I'm doing with my cheese hot while the glass is in this molten state, applying it to one side and then reheating and applying it to the other. Now that I've done this to both sides, I can reheat and pull it into a leaf shape. I do this by heating up sections of the glass and then pulling it out with these tongs. Once the leaf is at a desired length, I then let the heat soak into the glass and let it dip and curve naturally. Allowing gravity to shape it naturally, it looks a lot more like a real leaf. Once I remove it from my punty, I then get these beautiful little green leaves. Now that my leaves are complete and annealing, I'm having a quick review. So that is my candle body now done. All of my flowers have now been assembled too and are ready to go. And now finally, I've got my branches and my leaves as well. For the next part of today, I can now focus on the assembly. By using a small flame, I'm heating the two elements and pushing them together. Initially, the glass is very blobby, so that needs to be heated out entirely so that the glass flows into itself like water. If there are no bumps, this means that the fuse is nice and strong. I then flip the branch and do the exact same thing to the other side. Now that the flowers are on, I can start to add the leaves and make the second branch. This is now the scariest part. I need to add the branches to the main body of the candlestick. I need to heat the glass very gently so that it doesn't go into thermal shock and then break. And as I'm attaching my branch on, I'm starting to notice that it's falling about all over the place and moving when I don't want it to. But I lean into this and I allow gravity to do its thing and allow it to wrap around the body of the candlestick nicely. And that is the end of day number 3 with no breakages, which is great because I was really panicking towards the end there. I did unfortunately run out of time to put the foot on, but this will anneal overnight and I can put on the foot tomorrow. Wish me luck. I hope this goes well. If it breaks, I don't want to think about it. I'm carefully removing the punty and then melting this little stub down. This is where the foot will be attached onto. But at this point, I'm realizing that I'm really struggling to turn this nicely in my hand, so I opt for my small torch so that I can hopefully get better control and seal this nicely. I'm applying direct heat directly to the two touching points of the foot and the body, and trying to heat the glass evenly so I get this hot seal. This connection needs to be really well done as it's supporting all of the top weight of the candlestick. I also want this to stand up really poker straight, so I'm heat soaking this attachment, holding it up and allowing gravity to hang and pull the glass down with it. This method seemed to really work to give me a nice centered foot. And now, after 4 days of work, my glass candlestick is finally finished. I will give it one last anneal for a couple of hours and then we can take a look at it and put the candle in it. And this is the finished design, my very first glass candlestick. This is by far one of the most challenging projects I have ever done. It combines all of my basic solid working skills and my hollow skills all in one project. And honestly, I can't believe it survived. I really love how the height came out. It's exactly the kind of height and width that I wanted it to be. The foot was well sized and shaped and centered, which means it can stand up nice and straight. The cup also holds the candlestick itself very nicely. I now want to put it on the rotary plate to take a full look. But disaster has happened. When I tried to pick it up and put it on the plate, the foot came off. Which breaks my heart because I really wanted to put it on this thing and see it rotating in all its glory. But I'm going to take this opportunity to take a closer look and critique it. First of all, these are the best flowers I have ever made, but I do think they could be better. I think the design would look more elegant if they were actually a lot smaller and more of them. They are also quite pointy. To make them look more organic, I think I could make them look more ruffled. But overall, I'm very, very happy. Right, now let's talk about this foot. So unfortunately, my fusing was definitely not hot enough, and so it's just popped off at the seal, meaning that this was a cold fuse rather than a hot fuse. If the glass is too cold, it simply won't stick together. Luckily though, I did find this ceramic little kiln foot, which means I can still put it on the rotary plate and take a look at it. Another thing I could have done better is that a lot of the detail is only on one side at the front, meaning that the back looks very exposed and bare. And it's really starting to tilt. Ah! Oh no. I can't believe I got through all that and it survived the making process, but now broke literally at the end of it all. But that's okay, I am still learning, and going through the whole making process of this from start to finish has given me so much. It's really not about the end result, it's the learning and the skills I require as I go through all this. And I'm actually really quite proud how a lot of these parts of it have held up. Like, all the petals are themselves intact, they're all completely perfectly whole, which means they were made nicely and annealed properly. So I can still use them for parts to make flowers again in the future. The main body part itself has held up tremendously and has no cracks in it, which means the wall thickness was really sturdy and even. Also, the cup that actually holds the candle is in perfect condition too. There are no scratches or cracks at all in this, so I can reuse this part too. Also, from counting them all up, all of the leaves have survived as well. They're all in perfect condition, so I can reuse these ones as well. Also the two abolios survived. So in theory here, I've got the entire main body still in good condition, so I can reattach all of it. I think the parts that took honestly the most damage were the center part of the flowers. All the stamens are gone pretty much, as well as the connecting parts of the branches. So I've got the petals and that's wonderful. But considering I thought that these could be better in the first place, I might just save these for another project later on. So in future, when I'm adding the petals to the base part, I really need to make them a lot stronger. But some of my other flowers did survive, so I did it well on some and not so well on others. The stamens unfortunately didn't survive in the slightest, but these are the most fragile parts of glass on the entire sculpture, so this is hardly a surprise. So here we are, this is my deconstructed glass candlestick. And while it didn't survive very long, I did make the entire thing and I am incredibly proud of myself. I've been able to identify the things I did really well versus things I could get better at. And the candlestick itself also survived, so we can revisit this. And there is one last saving grace to this. This abolio, this connection that I made here, did survive. This was definitely a hot seal and it is fused together really well. It's nice and strong, and even if I give it a little tap on the side or something, I don't think it's going to come off. And honestly, I think it's really worth proving this theory, so just give it a little like dunk dunk dunk. It's really not coming off, so success! I'm glad I was able to do this during this project and get it right, so this is now my gold standard. I now know that this is what it needs to look like. And this learning experience was crucial to the projects I'm going to do in the future, meaning this project was a huge success. I also realised that during my review I wasn't actually able to light my candle and show it off, but this will have to do instead. So thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again next week with another Hot Stuff episode, so I'll see you then.